Given everything you've been through over the past year or so, can you just talk to me? How excited are you to finally be here for fight week after so long away?
Man, I'm blessed to be back here. It's 18 months since I've competed, long time away. Learned a lot last year, more personal stuff than than I expected. But everything played out really well. I think I made the right decisions and I made the right moves to come back and have a successful Friday night.
How difficult is that mentally as a champion? You're on top of the world. You know, you got a Grand Prix coming up. You got your face at the top of every poster and whatnot. And then to suffer something like that, I mean, was it a tough mental hurdle for you to get over? Or was it, from the get-go where you just kind of focused on the tasks that you needed to do to get back in there?
It was definitely hard to come over at first. I missed out on a chance to have 3 fights last year and possibly become a millionaire. So, yeah, definitely interesting last year. But I think it was like a sign from the universe, man. I came into the sport, trying to create a legacy. And for a bit, it started becoming about money. Where I'm like, okay, what can I buy next? What's next for me as far as merchandise or, stuff that I don't really pay attention to usually. And I feel this comeback fight is the fight that I need to really create this legacy that I'm trying to take.
Obviously, I know you were itching probably when you were watching that Grand Prix, like, oh, I wish I was in there. But kind of what was your takeaways from it? Were you surprised that ultimately the Patchy Mix was the guy that came out on top? Was that surprising?
You know what? It's MMA. Anything could happen out there. I was losing a 3-round fight and ended up landing a spinning back fist. MMA is crazy. So definitely sucks to watch Rafian go through that. He's my teammate and my boy, but that's how MMA works, man. Patchy looked really good last year. He did everything he needed to do to get that $1 million. Went through Horiguchi, Magomedov, and put the cherry on top with that beautiful finish. Definitely impressed.
So as you were gearing up to tell Bellator, like, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to fight, it's kind of coinciding with this tournament final, right, where, you'd probably want to fight before rather than sit out and wait for whoever was going to win mix and starts. So when did the Patricio option kind of get presented to you? Was it just immediately, or was it something that you guys kind of figured out yourselves?
Yeah, my coach was actually talking to me about it. He's like, I hear Patricio's trying to come down to 135 and become a 3-time division champ. And it was around like December or January. He made a post on Instagram and tagged Patricio and his team in it, and they jumped on it right away. Bellator jumped on it right away, and that's how I think things kind of played out, just an Instagram post.
And it's weird because I think a lot of people would see like the tournament, Grand Prix final, going to fight the champion. Like, that's a pretty big fight. But for them to have this option that's like super fight, it doesn't get much bigger than that.
Yeah.
For you, is this the biggest fight of your career?
Biggest fight of my career, for sure, especially after the situation coming off of 18 months and getting thrown into the deep end right away with a killer like Patricio, So definitely a big task ahead of me and biggest fight for sure.
So how do you crack that code? He's lost before. People have beaten him. He seems to have a good knack for figuring them out later on in other fights, but he's a guy that's really tough for anybody to beat. So do you feel pretty confident despite his resume? Like, you have
for sure.
tools?
I mean, I feel just the person I became over these last couple months, I'm different now, man. I had a super high and a super low, and right now I'm at the middle where I'm peaceful and calm and just collective, ready to go out there and go to war. And if I put everything together and have some fun Friday night, I believe I would be the one with my hand raised.
Him dropping in weight, is there any sort of changes you expect to see out of the 135-pound version of Patricio? Can you prepare like that for some sort of intangibles that could come with the weight?
I mean, I'm sure with the amount of time he had to prepare for this fight, he probably put in the right money to get his nutrition right and prep for making his weight down to 135. So I don't think we'll have any issues personally, but I fought at 125 before. I know how it feels to drop an extra 10 pounds, and it's a lot, especially as you get older. So I'm sure it might affect him just for that night, but once he rehydrates, he'll be back to the same killer he was.
Hi, I was wondering, have you talked to him at all this week yet? Have you seen him? Because he's kind of one of those guys that likes to poke at his opponent a little bit. Yeah. Has there been any of that?
No, I haven't really talked to him at all. I mean, before we were gonna fight, I went up to him, shook his hand. That's about it. But other than that, no, we haven't talked at all. I know he brought out my coach recently, my old coach, to go out there and train with him. So I think they're trying to play some head games with me and get me out of my comfort zone and my element. But yeah, nothing so far this week.
What did you think of that when you heard that? Did you, like you said, do you think it's just a mind game, or do you feel like, or is there a little bit of like, oh no, what does he know?
No, I mean, my coach, he was my coach 3 years ago, and I've changed so much from these last 3 years. So definitely I feel like it was a mind game. They try to make it a big deal, like, we got a special guest coming out. And I heard about a couple days before who it was, and I'm like, it's okay, man. Like, it is what it is. It's business. I get it. He was my old coach. That doesn't mean he can't go coach anybody else. He's got a family to feed and money to make, so it is what it is.
Have you spoken to the coach at all?
Nah, we haven't spoke. We haven't talked in a couple of years, to be honest. Yeah, I'm more close with his son, but yeah, not too much with him.
And Patricio came out here and said if he wins on Friday, he'd like to go for a 4th belt. I'm wondering what you think of that.
Man, this guy's getting greedy, man. He wants it all, but I get it. You know, he's creating that legacy. But we'll see. You know, I think he's looking past me a little bit, to be honest. You know, he's just bringing out my coach and all that stuff, trying to play head games with me. But I'm not that type of guy. I'm chill. I'm calm. I'm ready to go get the job done this Friday. Yep.
Just one follow-up. The flyweight division in Bellator now, is that something, again, not to look far ahead, would you ever drop down to 125 again? Could you make that weight?
I mean, if it made sense, I probably would. But as of right now, I don't want to cut that extra weight. I'm good on that. Yep.
Sergio, I kind of want to start off with a personal one here. Obviously, so much time away, and on the other side in your family, your brother's doing so much. Obviously, you know, had the big boxing fight against Roy Jones, APFC, just this past weekend. You know, he brought out John Jones. It was a great event. How proud of you do you think your brother is coming back from such a long layoff into such a challenging fight? And on the flip side, how proud of you are of him, of everything he's doing?
Man, it's been great to watch Anthony do what he does, you know, throughout his whole life. Showtime, Kick, Wheaties Box, making APFC, just beat Roy Jones Jr. in a boxing fight. So it's crazy, man. I'm very proud of him. And I know he's proud of me as well. You know, I've overcame a lot. You know, I was the younger brother that wasn't supposed to go as far as I've gone. And, you know, I've had to come over some self-obstacles and things that I had to do to you know, create my legacy. So I'm currently doing that as we speak. So.
That you are. And if you don't mind me asking, you've kind of referred to it a few times, but you talked about the highs and the lows during this time off. I think the only thing any of us in this room can relate to you is going through highs and lows, because I can tell you I don't know what it's like to be a Bellator world champion like yourself. Can you pull back the curtain a little bit to just what some of those days were like for you?
Yeah, I mean, the highs and lows for sure of the sport are crazy. You know, winning, losing, there's always going to be one winner, one loser. But last year, man, just things were taken away from me. You know, I couldn't move, I couldn't walk, I couldn't, you know, do the things I do on the daily, train and live a normal life. So, yeah, it was definitely, I learned a lot about, you know, depression and a little bit more about my anxiety as well. So, yeah, it was a big year to overcome a lot of things last year and just grow as a person, you know, outside of the cage.
I know Chicago and Milwaukee aren't too far. They're neighbors. What's it like for you kind of being, you know, coming back and being in the Midwest? Obviously, it's not home, it's not your backyard, but it's just a short drive. So what's it like being back here on this stage against such a big opponent right here, you know, not too far away from everyone?
It feels good. I mean, as you can see, I'm already dripping and sweaty. I'm nervous already, but no, it's awesome, man. My family's going to be out here. I put in a lot of work this last couple of months, and I'm ready to put it all together. I've had a lot of emotions built up and a lot of stress built up that I'm ready to let loose this Friday.
The easiest headline is Patricio's going for the 3rd belt. The tougher headline is to give you your story and your spotlight, which is coming back from injury and stopping history. What's more important, just getting back to being yourself or stopping who many consider to be one of the best to ever step inside the Bellator cage?
Dang, I am drip. I'm sorry, guys. I got a lot of water in me. I didn't realize that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really worried about this whole like narrative of, you know, 3-time champion or, you know, even just whole me coming back. Like I feel like I've gotten better, to be honest. Like I've gotten a lot better in the sport and as a person. So I'm just really excited to do that. You know, all the narrative at the end of the day, it's cool for the social media stuff and all the media, whatever, but I'm gonna go out there and do what I gotta do, you know, get this job done and create my legacy, and may the best man win at the end of the day, man. May the best man win.
My last one. I promise, my last one.
You're good. You're good.
I think everyone knows the well-documented backstory of both you and your brother. I know being from the Midwest, it's not easy for a lot of people, whether it be here in Chicago or in Milwaukee or many places. When you talk about creating your own legacy and stamping that legacy, what do you think you can do for those who may never get into martial arts but are following you and your story, and how you can motivate them on a day-to-day basis?
Man, that's a hard question, actually. I mean, I just motivating. I think it's just like me as a person. I'm overcoming a lot of things always. You know, I'm always dealing with like anxiety. I've had anxiety since I was a young kid, so that stuff always comes back and lingers every now and then. But you know, persistent, you know, hard work, staying consistent, not giving up on your dreams. You know, setting goals and really pushing to these new levels that you can push to without you even thinking you could. You know, and this is an opportunity for me to go out there and put on for everybody who's been overlooked their whole life. And I think this Saturday, man, I could really be a representative for that. Yep.
Sergio.
Damn, I am dripping, yo. I'm so sorry.
You're good, man. Dominic Cruz famously came out and said the ring rust isn't a real thing. But we've seen a lot of people struggle with it over the years. Do you think it's a real thing? And if so, how are you going to be able to overcome it on Friday night?
I mean, I don't know anything about ring rust. This is my first time actually having to even deal with an injury, so we'll see how it is. But personally, I think it's more of a mental thing, you know, to go in there and deal. I mean, look at me right now. I'm dripping sweat. It's like I'm used to cameras, but like now it's like it's coming back to this type of thing, you know. So we'll see. We'll see, man. I'm not really putting that in my head at all. You know, most of the times this stuff gets put in my head is when you guys ask me these questions and stuff. I don't even think about this shit. It's just going out there and being natural and being me. And if I go out there and be me and have some fun, I think ring rust won't even be a problem.